Let's take a look at the NHL.com's top 20 defensemen, and I'll let you know what I agree with and what I disagree with, coming up next. Yo-ho everybody, and welcome to another edition of Yinzer on Hockey. Before we begin, make sure you go down below, click that like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click that little bell so you stay up to date on all the off-season happenings. So yesterday, the NHL.com and NHL Network released their top 20 NHL defensemen right now. And as I did with the center iceman last week, I'm going to do it again with the defensemen this week. I'm not taking anybody out of the top 20 and I'm not adding anybody in. Just if that was the definitive top 20, how I would rank them within that top 20. So let's go ahead and get started. At number 20, NHL Network had Ryan Ellis. To me, I disagree with this a little bit. I think he should be a little bit higher on this top 20 list. I think the early season injury and coming back from that had a big effect on his year last year, and I think that he's going to rebound very well and still be one of the more elite defensemen. I have him ranked a little bit higher. I have him ranked at 18th. Number 19, NHL Network has Charlie McAvoy. I like Charlie McAvoy. I think he's fit in very well in Boston's defensive system. He plays alongside Zdeno Chara a lot. He's got a little bit more offensive talent in that pairing, and he's able to score a bit. I still think he's growing and developing, and until I see a consistent level of that upper echelon play, I would rank him at number 20 on this list right now, just because of his youth and inexperience, but I do think he's growing into the role, and I think he'll probably climb up this list as the seasons go on. At number 18, NHL Network has Dougie Hamilton, now of the Carolina Hurricanes, formerly Calgary Flame. I like a lot about Dougie Hamilton's game. Plays on the power play, plays penalty kill, all facets of the game, great 5-on-5 player, and he's able to put numbers on the score sheet, so that's a great asset to have. I have him ranked a little bit higher than NHL Network. I have him ranked at 14 out of the 20 that were ranked. At number 17, NHL Network has Shane Gostisbehere, and to me, this is way too low. This guy is growing into one of the best shutdown defenseman in the league, and he has the offensive talent. They've moved him onto their top power play unit in Philadelphia. He's able to score, generate chances, recover in his own zone. Everything about his game is in that elite echelon of players, and I think he's going to continue to grow into a more defined role in Philadelphia. He's going to be their number one defenseman for a long time to come. I have Gostisbehere at number 12 on my top 20, so I think they undervalued him just a little bit. Again, this was a bit of a breakout season, but you could see it coming to that, and I think it's going to continue to go higher from here. Number 16, they have Torrey Krug of the Boston Bruins, second Bruin already on this list here. I pretty much agree with their slotting here. He plays, again, behind Chara and McAvoy, so he doesn't have a lot of that top pairing pressure with him. He is their greatest offensive asset from the blue line in Boston, so he adds that to them. Rumblings of whether or not he'll be traded out of Boston with the depth that they have on their blue line. If he's traded out, there's a good chance that he gets pushed up the lineup into a top pairing, and I think that would be great for a guy like Torrey Krug. I think that would escalate his value. They have him at 16 on their list here. I have him at 15, and again, if he was to push his way into a top pairing, I think it would only skyrocket his value. I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to crush under the pressure of being a top line guy. I think he would blossom as a top line defenseman. At number 15 on NHL Network's list, they have Oliver Ekman-Larsson. This is another guy that I mildly disagree with their rankings. He isn't great defensively, He does add a lot of offense and runs their power play in Arizona. They're starting to stack up talent out in Arizona, which I think is only going to help Oliver Ekman-Larsson get a lot better. I like the way that he's growing as a player, maturing, signing that long-term extension. Not a lot of players are willing to tough it out in a bad market and a bad team, and for him to commit long-term to Arizona, I think is great for him. It's great for the franchise and the fan base in Arizona. He's probably going to be wearing the C next year, so we'll see how that affects his mental state, approaching the game as a captain versus, not having that extra pressure. I think he'll be fine in that role. I have him ranked 11th on my list. I was a little bit torn as to where to put him because I'm trying to weigh past performance against potential, and I put a little bit more weight on his potential, and I think he's going to climb up the list and be a lot better with the talent that they are putting around him. At number 14 on NHL Network's list, they have Ryan Suter. I like Ryan Suter a lot. If you had asked me at the beginning of last season, Ryan Suter would be in the top 5 of this list. But the injuries are starting to pile up. His ice time is like through the roof. He plays more ice time than any other defenseman in the league, and it's starting to show. It's starting to take a toll on his body. The injuries are piling up. He's missed relatively large chunks of time over the past couple of seasons, including missing the bigger part of the playoffs, or missing all of the playoffs this year from the end of the season. I think that's going to start to take a toll on Ryan Suter. I dropped him down a little bit from where they ranked him. I have him at 16. But if he can stay healthy, like I said, he's got potential to be easily in the top 10, if not top 5. But I just don't know how much I trust him to stay healthy. At number 13 on NHL Network's list, they have Chris Letang of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Very well documented on this channel. I am a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, but this is one spot where I am going to say they put a lot of weight on his history and not enough on what's going on right now. And what's going on right now is Chris Letang is declining as a player. His defense is sloppy. His outlet passes, his ability to move the puck isn't where it used to be. He still generates a lot of offense, and he's great in the offensive zone. I think 42 or 43 assists last year, so he's still able to get the puck to the scorers. It's just those breakout plays coming out of his own zone. He doesn't have that ability to play confidently in his own zone. And for me, I like to put a little bit of weight on the defensive side of a defenseman, and to me, Chris Letang right now is not a top 15 defenseman in the NHL. I have him ranked at 19th. Number 12 is Zach Werenski of the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is a kid that I've talked at length about in the past. Playing on a pairing with Seth Jones has done wonders for this kid's career, and he's going to continue to blossom. I like his upside. The potential is there for him to be very good. Battled through some injuries here and there over the past couple of seasons. There isn't quite enough evidence of consistency for my money's worth, so I'd like to see another year of him producing the way that he's been producing. He'll probably jump up a lot higher on my list if we rank him again at this time next year, and he's coming off the type of season that he just had. Right now I have him at 17th, but again, I think his potential is there to be easily in the top 10. These top 20 defensemen are all very close, top to bottom. There's obviously a few standouts, but a lot of interchangeable parts here. Number 11, they have Dustin Byfuglien of the Winnipeg Jets. This is a pretty fair ranking, I think. I have him at number 10 on my list, but of the people on this list, he is definitely the most physical defenseman on this list. Still generates a ton of offense, has a booming shot from the point. I like everything about the way Byfuglien plays, and he's very stable and healthy in his defensive zone. He does have tendencies to overcommit from time to time, but for the most part, a fair ranking, and like I said, I have him at number 10. Number 10 on NHL Network's list is John Klingberg of the Dallas Stars. I have Klingberg at number 13 on my list, but again, a lot of interchangeable parts. The first half of last season, John Klingberg was probably running away with the Norris Trophy, and there wasn't anybody going to catch him. He slowed down the second half. I think he had a couple of spouts of missing a few games here and there, but if you see production like he generated last season, again this coming season, John Klingberg is going to be in the conversation for a lot higher on this list, even possibly top 5. So we'll see where that goes from there. Number 9 on their list here for NHL Network is Alex Pietrangelo of the St. Louis Blues. I have him at number 8 on my list. Again, just a talented puck-moving guy. St. Louis has a system where all 5 of the players on the ice play a lot of defense, so his defensive numbers are very good because of the team-oriented defense that they play. He scores a lot, runs their power play, able to move the puck consistently. I like everything about Alex Pietrangelo. He's number 8 on my list. Number 8 on NHL Network's list is John Carlson. I have John Carlson ranked number 6 on my list. Stanley Cup champion this past season, led all defensemen in scoring. I think set Washington's record for points for a defenseman in the playoffs last year. Led all 8 NHL defensemen in scoring last year. Like I said, I have him at 6th, and as long as he's playing on that top power play unit in Washington with Ovechkin and Backstrom and Kuznetsov, the scoring potential is through the roof for Carlson, so you could easily see him in a 75-point range, and that's why I have him at number 6. Number 7 on NHL Network's list is Roman Josi of the Nashville Predators. Just pick a Nashville defenseman and throw them in here. They're all top 20 potential candidates. I have him ranked a little bit lower. I have him ranked at 9th. But, again, this Nashville defensive core is so solid, and they play so well with each other, and there isn't, like, defined pairings. You see Laviolette mixing the pairings up. Sometimes it's Ellis and Josi. Sometimes it's Subban and Josi. Sometimes it's Subban and Ellis. They each play both sides. Just a great defensive core to have. So, yeah, you can't go wrong with Roman Josi in this spot. Number 6 on NHL Network's list is Seth Jones of the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I think Seth Jones is just now starting to hit his stride. He is going to be the uncontested number 1 defenseman in Columbus. Playing on that pairing with Zach Werenski, the offensive talent that he brings, his ability to play in the defensive zone as well and start in his defensive zone. He takes a lot of starts from his own defensive zone, and I like everything about Seth Jones. He's going to be in the Norris conversation for years and years to come, and I have him at number 4 on my list of best defensemen right now. And again, with a Norris Trophy, with potential for a Norris Trophy, you could see him even higher on this list come next season. Number 5 on NHL Network's list is PK Subban of the Nashville Predators. Again, not a lot more I can say about Nashville's defense. It's almost unfair to the league that they have this amount of talent on their blue line. I like the ranking here. I like him at number 5. He plays so well with any defenseman they put alongside him. He plays top pairing assignments. He plays second pairing assignments. So you got to love everything about his game. The energy, the emotion, the passion that he plays with is unrivaled. And the commitment off the ice as well. He does so much out in the community, still in Montreal, helping build a hockey community in Nashville, I like everything about Subban off the ice. And his energy and passion on the ice, it's hard to not like that if you're a Nashville fan. It's easy to dislike it if you are not a Nashville fan. So that's the kind of player you want on your team, though. You want that polarizing figure on your team. I think it does well for a fan base to have that type of guy. And I like Subban at number 5. Number 4 on NHL Network's list is Brent Burns of the San Jose Sharks. Again, this is a ranking that I feel is a little bit more historically relevant than kind of relevant right now. Brent Burns, obviously still has a lot of offensive upside. He moves the puck very well. He is a power play phenom. Lacks a little bit defensively, but that's part of that transition of him being a winger when he was drafted and moving to defense. I think that has a lot to do with that, but I have him ranked 8th or 7th on my list. Excuse me. So still a lot to like about the way Burns plays the game. Just I don't think he's top 5 level right now, but he could very easily get back there if San Jose rebounds to where most people anticipate them to be. Number 3 on their list is Erik Karlsson. 3-2-1, pull a name out of a hat here on this list. I like all of them very, very much, and I would gladly take any one of them as my number 1 defenseman. I still think going into this year, Erik Karlsson is still the best defenseman in the NHL. I think with another year removed from the injury that he played in the playoffs with last season, not this past season, but the season before, obviously the well-documented foot fractures and everything, he's almost a full year removed from that, a whole summer to recover, and the additional time in the summer because Ottawa missed the playoffs. I think he's going to have that impact again, where he is going to take over games from the blue line. And not a lot of defensemen can have that impact on the game. You go back and you look at guys like Bobby Orr, Ray Bourque, Paul Coffey. Those guys had the ability as defensemen to take over the game. And Erik Karlsson is one of the few guys on this list right now that can take over a game as a defenseman. That's why I have him number 1 on my list. But again, 1, 2, and 3 separated by nanometers at this point. Number 2 on their list is Drew Doughty. Again, you can put him 1, 2, or 3. It's not an argument could be made for any of those spots. I have him number 3 on my list, but he is easily in the argument for top 2 or number 1. He's got that new contract. We'll see how he responds to the big payday that he got. Does he live up to that contract? Does Los Angeles regret it? I don't see it. Maybe the back end they might regret it a little bit, but right now I think it's a great contract, and it's great to have a guy that talented locked up for the long term. Number 1 on NHL Network's list is Victor Hedman. He is the defending Norris Trophy winner. He battled through some injury last year, but he is so devoted physically to the game that he only missed like the minimum amount of time. Anytime he gets injured and they're like, oh, it can be anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, always right at that 2-week mark, he's right back on the ice, if not earlier. The guy's devoted to the game, devoted to his health. I think probably one of the better pure shooters from the point. Maybe, him and John Carlson, both guys that have an extremely accurate shot from the point, gets a lot of shots on net, generates a lot of offense. He has been gifted with a lot of offensive talent around him, the Stamkos, Kucherov, Braden Points, guys like that all around him, which is obviously going to help your offensive numbers, but I think Victor Hedman does enough to help generate the offense himself, and those offensive players are only as good as the defenseman getting them the puck, and I think that's a key element, and I think Victor Hedman is one of the best transitional defensemen in the NHL, getting the puck from the defensive zone to the offensive zone. in a one-touch type way. Just, get the puck, move it, quick, accurate. Everything about Hedman, I like his game a lot. I have him number 2 on my list, but again, top 3 are interchangeable. And maybe more. You could even go further down this list and make an argument for a lot of these guys to be higher or lower on the list. It's all in how you value these players. Some people, more traditional people, will value the defensive side of the game. Some people like having a fourth forward on the ice. It's all in how you value that. But to me, all of these guys bring a relatively confident two-way game. Some of them not the best, but they're confident in the way they play the two-way game. So we'll see how it all shakes out in the end. We'll see who's right, who's wrong. Let me know in the comments below, how do you rank them? Who's your favorite defenseman? Who's the best defenseman? Where did they get it right? Where did they get it wrong? Where did I get it right? Where did I get it wrong? I'm okay with it. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And until I see you next time, have a good day.